Welcome to the first edition of Behind the Bases, the Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox preseason preview show. I'm your host, Mackenzie Alexander. We are so excited for another great season of Cape Cod baseball, but we have had a few things change since last season, including our MLB netting, which, by the way, we're the only team in the league to have the privilege of that, so we're super lucky. Our president, Paul Izzo, spoke to our manager, Scott Pickler, and he was just talking about how competitive this game is and what it means to him. And he said, the bigger the game, the better the player. If that doesn't show how competitive this league is, I don't know what does. Next up, our newest media coordinator, Jim Russ, will be joining me to talk about what the experience has been like and what it'll be like this entire season. Stay tuned. Hi, Jim. How are you?
I'm fine, Mackenzie. How are you?
Good. How has it been? You know, us interns have only been here for a few days. What's that been like for you?
Oh, it's been great because I interviewed so many of you on the phone. On Zoom, excuse me. And it's been great to meet you all in person.
Yeah. So obviously, it's your first year as media coordinator. Big role, but I don't know what better shoes to fill it. What's that?
Thank you.
Been like once you heard that you were going to have that position, and also, what was the hiring process like?
Well, the team president, Paul Izzo, has been a longtime friend of mine, approaching 40 years now. And when he became president last year, I came down to see a few games, and this year he asked me to do this, and I said sure. So it's been great. That was really about it. I can't remember the exact details, but that was really about it.
I know we obviously have had more additions. Now we're working with MLB, the website, all these different things. Can you kind of talk about a little bit about that?
Sure. The media will be a little bit different this year. Obviously, we're going to have the game broadcast. One of the differences, this show. We did not have a pregame show last year, and we're doing this preseason show right now, and we'll be doing a pre- and post-game show, which you'll be hosting, every game. So that's a difference. We also have a sideline reporter this year. That's a difference, so people will get good information from that, and we'll be just more professional. There's been other changes too, and one of the biggest is, media-wise, is the Cape Cod Leagues Association with Major League Baseball. We have a program called Huddle, which you guys will use to get the broadcast out. We have a program called Forge, which is going to handle how the website goes. And we also have an amazing MLB research tool at our disposal, which I signed up for it. I've gone on it. It's amazing what we're going to be able to do with that. And our game notes writer, we'll have a field day with that, frankly. So those are a lot of the new things media-wise that we're going to have here.
And what does it mean, obviously, like I said, first year doing this, but what does it mean to have those kind of resources here to help us, the media, interns, and also just YD as a whole?
Well, I told Paul that last year I came to a couple of games, and I came to see a baseball game, and I found a community. It was really amazing. It's more than just a baseball team. So I'm thrilled and privileged to join it, and have all of you interns join it, and meet all of you, meet all the game day interns, and meet Elaine and other people associated with the team. It's just been a great experience so far.
So I know you're really close with obviously our president, Paul Izzo, his second season, this season coming up. Can you kind of speak on what Paul is like and just kind of, how hard of a worker he is?
What Paul is like. Okay. Paul and I once did a sports talk show together with a few other people. And no, Paul is a passionate sports fan. The New England teams, Patriots, Celtics, Bruins, Red Sox. And he's very passionate about sports, and he's just a very can-do person who I think did a great job last year as president. I observed it from afar, and I know I'm a little biased, but I thought he did a phenomenal job, and I think he's doing another great job too. He's just a very can-do person, and I think he's going to continue to do a great job for YD.
No, yeah, he's been great to all of us interns. He hosted an intern barbecue, and he's really taken the time to get to know us, so it means a lot to us interns. But another great, obviously, part of this team, and probably, the backbone of this team is Scott Pickler, the manager. His 26th season is this year. Can you speak as to what Scott is to this team?
Well, I've learned that over the past 2 years. I got here, I met him, had a very brief conversation with him and last year, and just realized how important he is to this team. 26 years, 6 championships, but just from my limited contact, just a fantastic person, which of course is the most important thing. above even the championships and the winning. And just a fantastic person, a great representative for YD. I've heard from you guys that he's been great with you so far, and I'm sure that will continue. He's a legend in the Cape League, and deserves to be so.
Yeah, I mean, having those kind of people, like we said, like YD, it's not just a baseball, team. It's a community. YD is known for being family friendly. People love to come here because when you come here, you don't just build a commodity. You build a connection. You build lifelong friendships. And the Cape is not just for a season; it's for a lifetime. Would you agree?
Oh, no question. From what I've learned of the Cape in the last 2 years, people remember this all their life. And they just never forget it, and they make friendships and relationships that stand for their entire life. Absolutely.
So what are some things that people should be looking out for on Instagram and all of our socials from the media interns?
We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter/X, we're on Facebook, we'll be on TikTok. We are on TikTok, I should say. And what they should be looking for, I think, is very high quality content on that gives people a flavor of not only the team, and certainly the players, the coaches, and also the YD experience. So, you'll get pictures, you'll get videos, we'll get feature stories, we'll have sideline interviews up there, and, your show will be up there. As well as the broadcast itself. So I think people are going to have a lot of different areas to go to get information about YD this year. All
right, one last question. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever been given by a mentor or somebody maybe in the Cape League?
Here in the Cape League or in my life?
Just in general.
I just say believe in yourself and just hard work to me. I did see a saying in a dugout of a game I was coaching with that said, hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard. And the reason I like that is there are some people that think hard work can beat talent every time. Well, talent makes the most money. That's just the reality of it. But if talent doesn't work hard, hard workers can beat them.
Absolutely.
So that would be the piece of advice I have. For anybody. I really liked. I just went into a dugout I was coaching when it was there. It was like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
But other than that, just work hard and,
that
kind of thing.
Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else to say?
Sure. I'd like to promote something if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll look in the camera if you don't mind. Speaking of Paul, he did an interview with our manager, Scott Pickler, who we've talked about. It's about 18 minutes long. It's up on our website. It's up on our YouTube channel. It's referenced on other places. I would strongly encourage all fans of YD and the Cape Cod League to watch that interview. You really get a feel of who Pick is and the enthusiasm that he has for this league, YD, and his players. So I'd strongly urge people to watch that. I think it's well worth 18 minutes of your time.
I think we could sit here and talk in hours and hours about Pick and everything he's done for this program and what it means to him. That would literally take us days and days. So we'll just leave it at that. Thank you so much, Jim. And now introducing YD's media interns. Hi guys.
Hello.
These are our broadcasters, Luke and Ben. How are you guys?
Doing well. How are you doing, guys?
Good. So your GM interview, how'd that go?
So I talked to Chip, and we really had a great conversation, not just about baseball, but about different baseball prospects. He was very familiar with a lot of guys that went to my school at the University of Maryland, but jumping into talking about the roster, they put such a big emphasis this season on bringing in guys that weren't draft eligible, because last season had a lot of guys for this YD team that were really great players, some guys that maybe came out of the woodwork and were a lot better than maybe people anticipated on paper. They end up getting drafted, and you lose those guys, and you find yourself scrambling a little bit towards the later part of the season, having to sign a lot of guys. So this year, they wanted to obtain players that they could develop here and maintain for the entire summer. So that was the big focus that we got from that interview.
Yeah, and that's such a big thing because, a lot of teams will take the best of the best, but it gives them a shot to work their way up and work with them, and obviously it's the best of the best, and, that's great. Luke, what about you?
Yeah, mine was good. Talked to Terry Heisey, he's down there right now. But, had a good conversation just again about the identifying talent. Obviously, the team was really excited. They were able to identify a lot of talent. 8 guys got named to the USA watch list, which Terry said, of course, is a good and a bad thing. Good thing because that means that we're finding the right guys, and we're finding guys that are going to be good and going to be successful. The bad news is, of course, we're going to lose those guys for a couple weeks while they go play for the national team in late June. But yeah, just a lot of really good players coming in again this year. We'll have some returners that are really exciting that YD fans, I think, are familiar with. RJ Austin, I think, highlights that group of guys. He's a USA guy as well that we'll hopefully get to see later on in the year. RJ was great for this team last season, and really excited for him to be back. And kind of what Ben said as well, getting some of those smaller school guys in as well, I think has been a point of pride for this team. You look at last year, and Will King and Hector Garcia were 2 guys that came in from smaller schools. Will King was from Eastern Kentucky and Atlantic Sun lower level Division I school, and Hector Garcia was pretty much off everybody's radar as a pitcher coming out of Hope International out of the NAI, who actually won the national title this year. They were a top 10 team last season as well. Both of those guys ended up getting drafted because of their performances out here on the Cape. Nathan Archer was another guy who was not on a ton of draft radars, came in, hit 300 here, and now he's going to be a day 2 pick probably this summer. So hoping that a lot of those guys from the smaller schools, some pipelines to places like Kennesaw State, we got a couple more guys on the roster from there this year, and hopefully we can hit on a couple good ones again this season.
And did Terry mention on how they kind of prepare when they know that these players are going to, Team USA, and how they know that they're going to have to be flexible and it's going to be, kind of rocky?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's very fluid. You end up signing significantly more players than the actual active roster that you'll have because you'll have guys coming in and out all the time. But I think the biggest point of emphasis, like Ben talked about this year, was having those mainstays. When you look at teams in the past that have won championships in this league, they kind of build their lineups off of those guys that are going to be 30, 40 game players in the regular season. And I think the Red Sox are hoping that they can get a few of those guys that can stick it out really throughout the entire summer and have some more of that roster continuity as opposed to a lot of fluidity that we tend to see throughout this league.
Was there anything else that maybe stood out to you guys while you guys were interviewing him?
Yeah, when I talked to Chip, kind of what Luke was bringing up, a team that you can have where you have guys that are playing 30 to 40 games. He alluded to the back-to-back champions and the Bourne Braves, and Luke and I both covered this YD team last year. We saw Bourne a lot, and Bourne basically had the same roster almost every single day the entire season, and that pays a lot to kind of build a team chemistry and have guys that are getting consistent at-bats, throwing consistent innings for your team. And when you can carry that over in the summer and kind of build that bond together like they had, their one goal really was to run it back and win the championship, and that's ultimately what they did. And I think Scott Pickler here in his 26th season has kind of tried to model that essentially, and the GMs, of course, have gone with Pick, and it's really a long process for them trying to find these players. They try to find guys that maybe have flown under the radar a little bit, not draft eligible, as we talked about, but Pick's ties to the California area because of his coaching days at Cypress College has allowed him to really find some great guys out of the California area this year, bringing in a couple guys from St. Mary's, Long Beach State. So just having guys like that they can hopefully have on the roster and bring that continuity that Luke is talking about is really what they want to build for a successful team this year.
Yeah, I mean, during the interview with Paul and Scott Pickler, they said the bigger the game, the better the player. And it's so true because it builds competitiveness, it builds what the Cape League is all about. What are your thoughts on, how competitive it is and how, the best get picked? What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like summer ball is tough for a player a lot of times because some of these guys are coming off regional tournaments, super regionals, and even a guy like Gavin Gallagher, who's now going to be playing in the College World Series, depending what happens with that. If you don't win your last game of the season when you make that part of the season or in the postseason, it's a tough feeling. It's tough to play with the same team every single day, fall in the postseason, and then all of a sudden you're out with a brand new team having to grind through an entire summer ball season. So that's just kind of part of the game that's built within playing summer ball. But if you can find players that want to really play together, that want to build this bond, and just find guys that are trying to get better within the summer, that's where you're going to find the most successful guys, because at the end of the day, it's not about yourself, it's about the team. And I think Pick is the kind of coach that looks for players like that. He's more built on the kind of people he's bringing in, not necessarily just how talented they are as baseball players, because everyone playing in the Cape Cod Baseball League is going to be extremely talented, but it's about what you can really bring to the table in a 40-game season over the summer. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, it's about commitment. I mean, Pick said, he was talking to the guys who were going to Team USA. He's like, where will you be at? Will you want to play after you're done? Will you want to come back? And, some were like, absolutely, like, I love playing this game. Why would I not want to come back? And he's like, oh, we'll see how I feel, a few of them. And he's like, I'm already trying to find replacements for them. Because, you got to be consistent, you got to be flexible, and you've got to want it.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, that's exactly what the teams that have won in previous years have been like. Everyone at that later part of the season has wanted to grind it out. They want to be playing into mid-August. And I know that seems daunting as a player here in June if you just finished up a season that started in February playing 60-plus games, and now you got another 40-game series plus the playoffs, and then, of course, having to go into fall ball right after that. But that's what baseball is all about. It's a game that you're constantly playing, and if you want to play at the major league level, you're playing 162 games. So summer ball is where you get used to that, and that's really where true major leaguers are built in a league like here in the Cape.
Yeah, what about you, Luke? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this league's obviously tremendously competitive. I don't think that's any secret. A lot of the MLB talent that comes out of this league. I think the most impressive thing to me, and I think the thing that the players would reflect on, is the depth here. I mean, every single pitcher that's here is a Friday starter at school.
Yep.
And every single bullpen guy here is a top-end bullpen guy at school. And every single team pretty much runs out a lineup of 9 guys that were all conference, and a lot of guys were at power conference schools. A lot of guys were maybe 400 hitters at mid-major schools. And I think that depth and having to deal with that generally 6 days a week throughout an entire summer, it's obviously a very tough grind, but it's something that, again, it's going to reflect pro ball. And at the end of the day, that's what this league is about. This league uses wood bats. This league has scouts. This league is designed around training these guys to get ready for the next level and playing, in the minor leagues and organizations and hopefully playing their way up to the big leagues. But yeah, I think just the depth that you see at every single position in this league, there are no holes in any lineups from any team in this league. And that can be really tough as a hitter, but that is something that on the other side of that, a lot of guys really enjoy in that competitiveness for sure.
Yeah, we're hearing, it really is the survival of the fittest. It's you come here and you work, but these guys have been working all season too at their home colleges. So it's not easy, and thanks guys, I really appreciate that. Anything else I can say?
No, thanks for having us on here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, excited. Year 2 for Ben and I here with YD, and very excited. Hopefully can repeat as East Division champs and try to go all the way this year. So,
thanks guys, appreciate it. All right, guys, that was a great interview from Luke and Ben. I mean, he got to talk about a lot about what's going on, what to expect, and I mean, there's just more coming. So let's keep going and let's go to more interns. Hey guys.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. You want to introduce yourself a little bit, say where you go to school, and also what your position is going to be this summer?
Yeah. My name's Ailey Weiss. I'm going to be the sideline reporter for YD this summer, and I go to Syracuse.
My name's Hugh Strain. I just finished my sophomore year at Bucknell University, and I'm going to be the game notes writer for YD this summer.
All right, I just want to highlight for a second. Ailey, it's the first ever sideline reporter for YD. How does it feel to kind of have that position this summer?
I'm very excited. I was able to do a little bit of sideline reporting at school this past school year, so bringing that into the summer, and baseball, which is something that I've loved since I was 3 months old, was my first Red Sox game, so it'll be fun to bring it this summer.
I know you said that you played baseball when you were younger.
Yeah, so I played baseball growing up. I'm basically my dad's son with 3 girls in the family. And so I was the first girl to play at my high school. And then I just loved it. I could never stop. And then I'm trying to make it into a career.
Oh, you're so cool. What about you?
Yeah, I'm excited to be the game notes writer. I'm super into statistics, and I think they're really fun to work with in terms of writing, and I think it's something I'm good at, so I'm excited to use statistics and hand that out and do the best I can to give relevant information to scouts and fans and whoever else needs them.
Yeah, but your major is English. That's a uncommon major, which is awesome, but kind of why is that your major?
Well, I think I'm super into writing, and what drew me to Bucknell originally was the extracurricular things I'd be able to get into right off the bat, as opposed to if I went to, say, a bigger communications program or whatever that might be, I might have to wait a while. So as a freshman, I was able to get into color commentating on ESPN Plus for Bucknell basketball, and then also be the sports editor after 1 semester with the Bucknellian, the school newspaper. So getting involved in extracurriculars like the local radio at a small school where it might not be of higher interest, but I can get hands-on experience as opposed to just the degree itself was something I was super interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. Great job. So obviously I know that you guys have been preparing. We obviously know that you've been hired for 3 to 4 or 4 months, whatever it may be. How did you prepare for this position, especially you, Ailey, knowing that it's a big job to fill?
Yeah, so I've been in communications with Jim as much as possible, helping him make graphics and just trying to get to know the team as best as possible coming here. Been in communication with some of the other interns, just trying to get a feel for the team, do as much research, watch some of the college games that our guys are playing in, just any and everything I could get my hands on I was doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So on now to the guys. You guys obviously haven't had that much time to really get to know the players yet, but you've gotten a feel for it. What are we going to be expecting this season? Who are some key players we should look out for, and what does that look like?
I mean, we were excited to get to the Cape, and we're not even the ones on the diamond. It's been great weather here, so we were able to speak with Jackson Trello after practice yesterday. He's very excited. He's never been on the Cape before. He got to drive around with his host family. He has a couple of kids also to show him the area, show some of the good spots, but he's a standout player, he will tell you.
Yeah, Jackson Trello is definitely one of the more fun prospects we're going to get to watch this summer. Sophomore outfielder from Kennesaw State University, guy that gets on base when he gets makes really good contact with the bat. He batted .290 in his sophomore year, was an A-Sun All-Tournament Team selection. 2023 led his team with doubles. He's actually a top 100 prospect for the 2025 MLB draft by D1Baseball.com at number 80.
Wow, so this kid is an absolute
He's the real deal.
He really
Yeah.
is. Who else?
So we got to speak with Ryan Sprock as well, who goes to Elon, so it's not as big of a D1 school, but he's still been able to get his name out there, which is very impressive. He's also a stud, he will tell you.
Yeah, if you want to watch balls fly over a fence this summer, make sure to get your eye on Ryan Sprock, the power hitter, 300 batter from Elon. 5'10", 205, stocky frame, but has a really efficient swing, generates a lot of power really quickly, so you can hit that ball far. He led Elon in home runs and RBIs this past season, 8 and 42 in those categories, respectively, 2023 and 24 in all CAA, all conference honorable mention.
I'm glad we bring up the fact about Elon. Obviously, that's not a school that's very talked about. You know what I mean? There's not that much, noise around it. I love that the Cape gives so many opportunities to the underdogs, the people that usually want it, and they allow them to come here and play and have a chance. And so, I mean, who are some of those guys also that will be here also like that?
So it's great that the Cape League gives these opportunities to the D1 players, but even the low D1s. But we have a D2 guy on our team who is great, and he was very excited to be here. We were chatting with him for a while after practice yesterday. He's just excited to be on the Cape. He's never been here as well. And yeah, Hugh and I got to chat with him a good bit after practice yesterday.
What's his name?
Brian Peck, so he's a junior right-handed pitcher at Westmont College. His first 2 years of collegiate baseball, they were actually at the NAIA level. He was an All-American honorable mention in 2023. Then before his junior campaign, they moved up to the Division II Pac West Conference, where he continued to dominate. 8-1 record, just under 3.5 ERA, 75 strikeouts, just 17 walks, and they're in a 2024 All-Pac West first-team selection. So a stud, but at the lower level, we'll see how he fares against some of the best prospects in the country.
Yeah, and that just shows the testament of how the Cape is not only the best because, it's the Cape, but also because they want these guys to get better. They want them to compete, and, like Scott Pickler said, in the interview, he said, the bigger the game, the better the player. Would you guys agree?
Yes, 100%. And we even asked him, we were like, okay, you're coming from a D1, or D2, area. What are your thoughts? How are you feeling coming? You're going to be playing against the top prospects in the country. And he seemed very cool, calm, and collected. He was very excited to just be here. He's like, my game will speak for itself. So I'm excited to watch him play.
Yeah, how about you?
Yeah, I think when you're at a level like Division II, NAIA, whatever it may be, getting an opportunity to see yourself in front of MLB scouts is something a lot of those guys at the lower levels don't get to do, and that's just the reality of collegiate athletics. In Division II and III, they just don't get the media representation that Division I does. It's just the way it is. So any opportunity that any of those players can get, I'm sure they'll take advantage of and definitely won't take for granted.
Obviously, we all know what happens after this league. Draft happens, big MLB draft, obviously. They're going to go on to pros, some of them, obviously. But it's always those guys end up being absolute studs in the MLB that always were the ones that maybe weren't the most looked upon, during their college or even high school. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think staying humble, especially in your early years when you're still becoming and making a name for yourself, is really important for these guys. Confidence is a huge thing, but I think definitely staying humble and perfecting your craft is really what the Cape League is all about.
I think that's something all athletes have to deal with, is controversy and critics, and that's just something that you have to handle. And are you going to handle it well and take it and get better, or are you going to let it bring you down? And it's the guys that don't let it take them down and those guys that use it as fuel to get better that are going to succeed.
I know we talked about kind of the media being sometimes a negative stigma, the reporters kind of pounding the guys a little bit, not, realizing they're just a player behind that jersey, but not only they're a person. And so, obviously, we talked about how, as a reporter, you want to make sure you get to know them, you want to be personable, you want to build a relationship, obviously ethical responsibility, but I mean, don't you think that's very important when it comes to this?
Yes, 100%. And that was our MO. Even the first few days of practices, we just came and we were hanging around, trying to chat with some of the guys after practice. And then yesterday, we were able to speak with a couple of them after. But we wanted to definitely make it personable, and we're going to be with them all season, so we want to be friends.
Yeah. So, Ailey, obviously, we don't really know what's going to be the storyline yet, but what are some stories, you know, with the human element that you're hoping to, and what are you just going to be putting out for them to see?
There's a lot going on in the Cape League. There's obviously great baseball. There's host families. There's the donut burger at YD, which is definitely going to be featured sometime soon. I don't know if I'll be able to try it, but we'll see. We might have somebody try it for me. There we go. But yeah, there's a lot of different aspects of the Cape Cod Baseball League that I can't wait to touch on all season.
Yeah, what do you have?
Yeah, I'm excited for that same thing, just kind of getting to know the guys and letting them know what I do and hopefully build some relationships and I guess just foster friends and hope I can be some sort of level of support, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
Of just I'm not just here to get their numbers. I genuinely want to see them succeed, and hopefully I can be maybe a friend to them.
And I know they appreciate that so much, you know, just having that extra support and just having, you know, like a cheerleader behind them, because everyone wants that kind of support, even if you're an athlete or not. So that's great. Thank you, guys. All right, guys, obviously we have a lot of great players on this team, but we have to introduce our writers. Come with me. Hi, guys.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. All right, guys, can you guys introduce yourself a little bit and just say a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Layla Frankina. I'm currently a rising senior at Syracuse University, and I'm majoring in digital journalism.
Awesome. What about you?
My name's Tyler Millen. I'm one of the content writers here with YD. I'll be rising senior at Penn State in the fall.
And what's that been like? What has your experience been like just at your colleges and with your experience that you've got there?
Yeah, so I've been editor-at-large for a student magazine on campus, and I've also interned in New York City doing some stuff with some publications. And yeah, I'm excited to be a content writer here.
Awesome. What about you?
I work with Penn State Athletics as a feature content intern, working basically all of our varsity sports, things from football to basketball, doing podcasts, on-air things, writing, all that stuff. So that's been a lot of my time at Penn State. I work with our men's hockey program as well.
Awesome. So obviously a lot of experience there, but you guys had to prepare to come here. Speaking of that, I know you guys have been already at work. What's that been like? What are you guys writing about, and how's that going so far?
Yeah, it's been going really well. So we've currently been brainstorming and discussing some article ideas, especially for the preseason coming up with opening day. I'm currently working on an article about what's new at YD, so what's new at the fields. We've got new MLB quality netting, some new padding. We've also repositioned a lot of the bleachers for the fan experience. And yeah, so I'll be covering that. I talked to Paul Izzo, who's the president of YD, and I'm also speaking with Elaine, who ran the field day for the interns. And yeah, so that's coming out soon.
Awesome. What are you, Tyler?
I'm working on a preview story, so I'll break it down by position from a hitter perspective, from a pitching perspective. It's a really talented group of guys. We have some guys that are going to play for Team USA. We have a lot of guys from Ethan Petrie, guys that have been All-Americans, freshman All-Americans, all-conference. Just a really talented group, and I talked with Jonathan Kim, who's an outfielder from Michigan, and Caleb Anderson, who's a right-hander from Wichita State, yesterday, and kind of gauged their excitement about this team. It's a group that, albeit it's 3 practices in, but they're really coming together as a family and as a group, and that's something that our head coach Scott Pickler talked about at length, is that chemistry aspect and how quickly his teams have been able to come together in the past, and that's what's allowed them to be successful over the course of playing 6 games in a week. And something that Caleb Anderson said that stuck out to me was that he's been dreaming of coming to the Cape since he was 5, and that's something that I can really kind of admire and look at, because I grew up coming to games here. I was sitting with my grandparents and my family out in left field coming to games. So this has always been a dream of mine to work here, and I think that's a lot of the players' mindset too is coming here and the pageantry of the Cape and being on a place that's so special to them. And now they're able to live out their dreams on an even bigger light. And these guys play SEC, Big 12, Big 10, these big-time conferences, and they keep elevating their talent levels, and this is another place for them to do that.
I know we talked a little bit about how you've been coming here since you were a kid.
Yeah.
You were that kid in the stands watching them.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be here and just kind of have that full circle moment of working here now?
Yeah, I mean, it truly means everything to be working with this team. I'm so thankful for my family and everyone, like my boss, Brian Trippek at Penn State, and everyone that's been able to put me in this situation. And writing and sports together have been like my 2 loves, I always say, and my mom has been so foundational in that, with her being an English teacher, and she kind of inspired my love for writing, and my whole family being like big hockey guys and big baseball people. So it's been a big, family thing, and this has been, such a great experience. It's been a great first week. But yeah, it's absolutely, full circle for me, both at Penn State where my grandfather went, and being here where my family comes every summer. So it's super cool for me to kind of experience that and experience both sides of once being a fan, running to get foul balls and home runs, and now being able to write about those memorable experiences for our guys.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned, how you're writing about what's new here at YD, the MLB netting, donut burger, all these things. Kind of, what has been your favorite part about that, and also, what are you hoping that people will get the most kick out of?
Yeah, just getting to know the organization has definitely been huge. Getting to know Paul better has been great, and all the other interns, and going off of what Tyler was saying too, it's a great opportunity for both the players and the interns too, getting this real experience in the sports industry and getting to get some good connections and meet some great people. And yeah, I'm excited to really make more connections with, especially more of the players too, and get to talk to them more, talk to some of them after practice. They're all really great. And getting to know, more of the staff around, people working in the snack shack, the merchandise booth, and yeah, very excited.
So a part of your story is the donut burger, which is a little unique to, obviously, we know what it is and we love it, but kind of talk about that a little more.
Yeah, so I actually have yet to try the donut burger, but actually this year there's a new partnership with the donuts that are coming in. They're going to come from Hole in One Donuts.
Wow.
And yeah, so basically it's just 2 donuts instead of the buns, and then the burger. So kind of a sweet savory combination. So yeah, come back to me for that. I'll try it.
So you will be trying it?
I will be trying it.
What are you trying? Are you going to try it?
Yeah, I've had it before coming to games, obviously, so yeah, I think it's a unique tradition. It's one that's really special in the world of baseball. I think even Major League fans can know and appreciate unique foods at different stadiums, and I know they have different foods out in Seattle and different foods in Kansas City, and the whole kind of vibe kind of brings that that community aspect of baseball is pretty unique.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to ask one more question. I know you just released an article that people can now go read. What was it about, and also what was the heart behind it?
Yeah, obviously with the first couple practices, I wanted to kind of gauge guys' excitement level and talk about Coach and his coming into his 26th season now, and those kind of two things are tied together in terms of how did you get a group to come together in that chemistry aspect, and ultimately I think it's on the leaders, and Pickler kind of talked about guys that have a really good personality that can come into this team on their own and be able to bring guys together. That's what's going to allow this team to develop off the field, because they have the talents to be All-Americans on the field. They show that at their colleges. So, and another thing that stood out to me about what Caleb Anderson told me is that this group, from a pitching perspective, it's a lot of been major guys. Yeah. So they are going to come in with a chip on their shoulder, something to prove against guys that have been big-time D1 talents. So it's going to be a great roster, bunch of great talented people and players. So I'm looking forward to it.
So looking back now, years, if you were to tell yourself, in that moment when you were that little boy standing in the stands and just watching those players, that this would be you, interviewing those, not same players, but the same kind of talent that these players have, what would you say to your younger self?
I think ultimately it's just believe in yourself. I think I look at the Ted Lasso poster that they have in the locker room where it's the yellow and blue believe. If you don't have the confidence in yourself, then you're not going to be able to do much. You have to not be afraid to fail. I know it's pretty cliche, but you got to be able to, I'm a kid from Connecticut that goes to Penn State, so being able to push myself to go to a new place where I don't really know anybody, having that experience has taught me a tremendous amount, and it's allowed me to grow as a writer, as a leader, as a person, and just having those kind of diverse experiences is meant a lot to me. So I think I would just tell myself to just stick to what I'm good at, keep pushing myself to get better, and just don't be afraid to fail, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. I couldn't agree more. What about you?
Yeah, as a writer, that's super important, not being afraid to make mistakes, because that's especially how you learn from them and continue to grow, especially as a writer. So I definitely think learning from mistakes is huge. And then, just every article you get better with writing. Practice takes time, but I'm just very excited to get going. And then you can expect a lot from us this season for content-wise. We're going to do game articles, the game summaries, so if you missed the game, you can catch it on the website, our writing, and then also feature stories. So we're going to highlight either a player, maybe a moment in the game, any staff, and we'll put that up on the website too.
I'm glad you bring that up, the feature story. Sometimes people don't really understand the difference between a feature story and other kind of stories. Can you break that down a little bit?
Yeah, so a feature kind of goes more in depth than just a regular game summary article. So we'll really like dig deep into like maybe a player's past. You'll get to know them a little better than just seeing them on the field. A special moment maybe too. So yeah, we'll get to see that more in depth than just what just happened in the game.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Got anything else to say?
I'm just very excited for the season. I'm excited to meet all the fans, and great season, great summer for baseball.
Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, Saturday can't come soon enough. We're ready to go for opening day.
Really? All right, true. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you here 4 p.m. Saturday for our season opener. Tune in then. Bye, guys.